Moms are supposed to be supportive and nurturing, but what happens when the very woman that should be your number one fan is actually your number one adversary? And if you're like most people, you slip into this confusing, guilt-ridden mess. And that's why in today's episode, you're going to learn the 10 signs that your mother is a narcissist. And these are the signs that every single one of my students has experienced, but just couldn't make sense of. But I want you to please note that Christianity isn't about just slapping a love label on someone and ignoring all the damage that they caused. And nor is our time together meant to be a mom-bashing episode, but rather, I want you to allow God to bring to light what the enemy is trying to keep in darkness. So in doing so, you can now have an accurate assessment of your situation and honor God in your interactions. So let's dive into the 10 signs. And I'm really curious to hear what you think about number 10. Number 1, she sees you as an extension of her. Imagine how someone would feel if they weren't allowed to have their own identity, weren't able to make their own choices without upsetting someone. In my world, that leads to a codependent, performance-driven mess. And narcissistic mothers often live their life through their children. Maybe mom always wanted to be the popular one, so she pushed you to always look pretty. Or she didn't finish college, so now you had to go on to some prestigious school so she can have bragging rights. And most of us moms like to be proud of our children's choices, but narcissistic moms take this to a toxic level. You're a reflection of her, so therefore, you must make choices based upon her preferences. Number 2, she's critical. Look, not all critical people are narcissists, but all narcissists are critical. And she likely has something to say about everyone and everything, and in doing so, positions herself as superior. And this can be through overtly criticizing someone or you for their choices, or passive-aggressively making comments about someone else in an attempt to make sure to get the message to you. But ironically, if you have any criticism or complaint about her, you will get met with a toxic reaction as you are now creating a crack in her fragile facade. And number 3, she has toxic reactions. Look, we can all overreact or react poorly from time to time, but narcissistic mothers will maintain this radioactivity as her MO. And you can likely predict that she will have a defensive, stonewalling, victim-like reaction if you attempt to bring anything to her attention that she doesn't want to hear. And narcissistic mothers cannot and will not look at themselves. So if you challenge her delusion, the response will be radioactive. Nothing is ever her fault, and if you ever try to argue otherwise, you will get met with the victim and martyr. Number 4, she lacks empathy. Narcissistic mothers will fake empathy with their sweet, high-pitched voices and their feigned sincerity, but it's all an act. When push comes to shove, she can't fake it anymore. She doesn't care about what you're going through, especially if it inconveniences her or, worse, pertains to her. And some of these moms have realized just how selfish they appear. So they will make excuses like, oh, I have something so much more devastating to deal with, and thereby making you the problem because you don't now have empathy for what she's going through. Whew. If you've struggled under the weight of a toxic mother and want to break free to all that God has for you, I want to encourage you to check out my online course called the Toxic Mother Survival Course. Or we also have another course called How to Heal from a Toxic Mother, Restoring Your Life Through Faith. I will go ahead and include links in the description section below. And number 5, she doesn't respect your boundaries. Narcissistic mothers do not take no for an answer. Your boundaries are perceived as a personal slight towards her, because after all, I'm your mother. Whether she's sharing your personal information to others or overriding your preferences, she believes that you should cower to her commands. And since narcissistic mothers still view their adult children as young children, they believe wholeheartedly that they have free reign over your life and you owe them. And here's where you're going to get met with a manipulative comment like, you're supposed to honor and obey me, or what kind of Christian treats their mother this way? All of this is in an attempt to disregard your limits and shame you into feeling like a bad person. Number 6, She wears a mask. Narcissistic mothers have several facades that they try to uphold, and this can be done easily for a short period in public, but get behind closed doors in private, and you're going to see that mask slip or fall off completely. Their public persona is in stark contrast to their private one. And this is why it makes your skin crawl when you hear people say, "Oh, your mother's so great. Oh, she's so sweet." And you think, if you only knew. And number 7, she believes that others are jealous of her. Mom having trouble keeping friends long term? No, I'm not talking about those equally toxic girls that she's been friends with since college. I'm talking about a constant revolving door of people in and out of her life. Narcissists can't have genuine connection with others. So when those people end up leaving, which they always do, the narrative that sounds best in her mind is, "Oh, she was just jealous of me." That leads to number 8. She's entitled and self-important. And this trait can be overt or covert. The overt will be a bit more histrionic in her behavior, making overt displays to get attention. Maybe that's dancing inappropriately at a party, or bragging to anyone with an ear, or treating people that she deems inferior like trash. The covert narcissist may not be as obnoxious in her expressions, but make no mistake, she will exude superiority over others. Especially watch for number 10. But first, into number 9. She distorts reality, otherwise known as gaslighting. You can't have a healthy conversation with a narcissistic mother because she is always telling you that you're remembering things wrong. Whether she denies saying or doing something, or just calls you too sensitive when you try to raise an issue, narcissistic mothers don't desire genuine connection. I know they say they do. They desire admiration. And if your questioning her challenges that, she will flip the script on you faster than a fry cook flips hotcakes. And number 10, she has weird facial expressions. Okay, so this one isn't so much proven, but in my experience, I've seen most narcissistic mothers with these almost uncontrollable facial expressions that reveal their contempt for others. From eye rolls, to snarky smirks, to eye flutters. Can't even do it if I tried. These are all signs of disdain and disapproval towards others. They truly think that they are better than others, including you. Okay, so dare I ask, how many signs have you seen so far? Let me know in the comments below. And did you know that growing up with a narcissistic mother can actually lead to people-pleasing, where you're always saying yes and I'm sorry? And if you want to know just how much this has impacted your life, I want to invite you to go ahead and take our free "What Type of People Pleaser Am I?" quiz. And if you're ready to learn the 3 signs that God is telling you it's time to give up on someone, go ahead and check out this episode next.